Hello friends, today I'm going to talk about Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming. So in this tutorial, number one, we are going to talk about what is OP. We'll be talking about also what is object, what is a class, what is the difference between class properties and class methods. We'll also be talking about class declaration, the access specifiers, and we also see some examples of how to write a program containing classes. Now, what is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is the programming paradigm, or it is a programming technique uses objects to design applications and computer programs. Now, the object-oriented programming provides some features which include classes, object, constructor and destructor, inheritance, data abstraction, data encapsulation, polymorphism, and overloading. Now we'll see these features one by one. Now what is an object? In object-oriented programming, an object is the basic unit of object-oriented programming. Then each object is a particular instance of a class, which has its unique name. When created, each object allocates memory for variables and data associated with it. Now let me come back on this. So in the terms of data type and the variables, let's say the class is data type of an object. Then the object is a variable of the class. Now what is a class? A class here, it is a data type from which objects are created. So as I have said, in terms of variables, a class would be the data type and the object would be the variable. As we know, a variable should have a data type. So in this way, the class is considered as a data type and the object is considered as the variable, as you are going to see it. Now let's see what is the difference between properties and methods. When you talk about properties, we understand the characteristic of each object that may be created from the class, whereas methods are like actions to be performed by the object that are declared in the class. Properties means the data to be used or manipulated within a computer program. So the properties are also generally referred to as variables, as I have said. Then methods are the subroutines inclusively associated with the class or within object. So let's say methods are considered like functions of a class. Now let's see how to work with class and object. So let's see now how to declare a class. Normally a class is declared with the keyword class. The syntax for class declaration is as follows. You just have to write class, then class name, you open bracket, you show access specifiers. You may be having 2 or more access specifiers. You write access specifier 1, colon, you show the class members, you can write different access specifiers as you see in this syntax. Then you close with bracket. You may also show the object list or object names that will work with that class, and then you close with the semicolon. Now in this syntax that we have seen, the class name is a valid C++ identifier. It is an identifier that you can give as the class name. Then the body of declaration may contain members with which can be both data and function declaration, and optional access specifiers. So the object list, as you see in this syntax, these object names or object list, it is an optional list of names of object of this class. Now what about access specifiers? So these access specifiers means private, protected, or public, as we are going to talk about them later. We'll see how to set members of the class to be private, or to be protected, or to be public. Now let's see ways of accessing class members or access specifiers. As I have mentioned, we have private as access specifier. So normally an access specifier shows how much a member of the class can be accessed inside or outside the class. So we have private access specifier where members of the class can be accessed only from within other members of the class or from their friends. It means here, when a member is said to be private, it can be accessed only from within other members of the class or from the friends of the class. So when a member is protected, it means it can be accessible from members of the same class or from their friends, but also it can also be accessed from members of their derived classes, as we will see in the next tutorials. So what about public? So when a member is public, it means it can be accessed from anywhere where the object is invisible, which means when a member is said to be public, you can access it within the class or outside the class where the object is appearing. Now we're gonna see the example number 1, where we are going to work with a class program. So this program says, create a class called a person with which has 2 functions. One is called get data and another one is called put data. The get data prompts the user to enter his or her first name, last name, and age. Then the function put data displays on the screen the user first name, last name, and age. Now we are going to see how to work with this program by using class. Let me now open Dev C++ as a compiler editor to work or to write this program. So I open Dev C++, let me go to File, I click New, I go to Source File, or you can also combine Ctrl and N as keyboard shortcuts. So let me now include iStream as a C++ header or library, input and output library. So include iStream, using namespace standard. Now for this case, I will first of all create my class called person. As you have seen, when you create a class, you just write the keyword class, then you write the class name, then this class called person. But here, person, I open bracket. Now let me declare the variables of the class or the properties of this class, but I can set their access specifier if it's not set by default. Let me set them to be private. I want this access I want these data members or properties to be private. I want to use them inside the class only. So let me call it age, as it has been said, because here it said that the user has to input his last name, his first name, last name, and age. So these are the variables of the class, or these are what we call the properties of the class. So now another one is last name. Let me set its data type as a string. I can call it last name. I put underscore last name and first name. First name. So these are the data members of this class called person, or I can call them the variables of the class, where I can compare them as the properties of class object. Now, as I have declared a data type, I have used the data type called string. So here I needed to include another library called cstring, where this data type is belonging to. I can say include cstring. So cstring is here. This one is here for string data type. So when it is not included, and when you use this string as a data type, so the program will show you the error. Now in this program I also have to mention the methods of this class as they have been shown. So one is called get data, another one is called put data. So these are what we call methods of the class. So these methods, because they will be accessed inside this class and outside the class where the object will be visible, I can set them to be public. So this is the access specifier, which shows how the methods will be accessed inside this class or outside. So one is called one of these methods is called get data. That will prompt the user to enter his or her first name. Another one is called put data, which will display the information of the person. So now I can say void. So void here is return type. Void put get data. So this get data will prompt the user to input the first name, last name, and age. So this data, the get data function or methods will have three parameters. One is for age. Let me call it my age. So another one is called string. Let me call it my last name. Another one is called string my first name. My first name. So as you know, when you are defining the methods, you have to show the return type, the method name, and the list of parameters you have in that method. Now let me open and close the bracket to show the both of these methods. Now here I can say the variable age of this class, this variable age, this one, the variable age will receive the value of the parameter my age. I can write in this way. Then the variable my last name, this one, will receive this variable my last name will receive the value of this parameter my last name. Now I can say now this variable first name, the variable first name will receive the value of this parameter my first name. So this is what this function is going to do. It means, first of all, we receive a message that prompts the user to input these values, and then the get data function or methods will receive these values and pass them to variables of this class. Now let me also declare another method called get data. So get data is going to display what values this get data method has captured. It means I can say void put data. So this put data will not have any parameter because its function is to display, not to receive. Okay, its function is to display only, not just to receive. But this one get data, its function is to prompt the user and to receive the values from the users. But this one is going to display what this function has received. Let's see how it is going to do it. And this one is going to display what is here, right? I can say cout the last name is I take this one, the last name. Let me say here cout the first name. The first name is then share the first name. So I'll use this variable, this one. You see, I'm using variables that have received the values from the parameters of this function get data. So I can put now end line, cout, the age is age as the variable that has received age is this one. So I use this age as age here, right? Okay, so this is how we can define the function put data. It's put data, as it is there. Put data. Now, this is the, as I have showed, where the class is closed. So this bracket is closing the class person. I have also to close with the semicolon. So now we are going to see how to work with these members of the class within main function. So I just create main function down here. After closing the class with the bracket and the semicolon, I create the definition of the main function down here. So in this main function, I need first of all to create an object. So in this tutorial, I said how you can define a class, how you can create a class or declare a class. I said that you may mention the object names. When the class has one object, you just write its name here. But there's another way that you can say that you can create this object as I'm going to show here. You can create the object of the class here in the main function. You can say person. So the person here is the class name. The class name is person. So when you want to create an object, you just go in main function, you write the class name and you write the object name. So let me call this object OB obj as the object name of this class person. Now in this main function, let me also declare the variables that will help me to pass the values to the function get data, because this function is going to receive values after the user is prompted to input these values, right? I can say here one is called age, but I can call it let me call it value age. It is an integer. Another one is called string value first name. Value first name. Another one is called last name. So let me declare it as string value. Let's see here. Value last name. Now after declaring all these variables that will be used in the main function, now I can prompt the user to input first name, last name, and the age. Then I call that function that will receive these variables, right? I can say now here, okay, cout enter your first name, enter your first name. So the user is going to enter. So in this case, I want to instruct the computer that message will be prompt to the user to input his first name. Then the first name will be read into the variable value first name. I just put it here. Then I can also prompt the user to input his last name. Enter your last name. Your last name. So this value of last name will be read into value last name. Value last name. Then I can also prompt the user to input his age. Cout. Enter your age. Enter your age. Enter your age. Then the value of age will be read into the variable value age. Let me copy it. The variable value age. Now after prompting the user to input this information, now I will call the function. I will call the function called get data. So this function will receive my age. Okay, we receive the age, the last name, and the first name into these parameters. So I can just use now this object obj, because remember the function or the method get data is a method that is public, so it can be used within the class. It means from here up to here where the class is ended. Now it is public. This method is public, as you're seeing is public here, so it can be also used outside the class. When I say outside, it means outside this bracket and this bracket and semicolon. It means it can be used in other function like main function. So this way I want to use it. Now how can I call this function? By using the object. Normally I write the object of the class. So this is how you can call a method of a class. You can say obj dot. So when you write dot, so you can be having different method list of that have been used in that class object. Okay, let's call it. It's this one, get data. It's this one. So what I have to do here, I want to just pass the value of these variables into to this function. So the first parameter here is my age. So I just take the value of my age. It is this one. It is what is kept in this variable, my age, because I have already input something. So that's the first parameter of what will pass to this method. The second one will be my last name. My last name. So here my last name is called, I will use my value my value last name. I think it's yes, that's the second parameter. I will use this one, value last name. So value last name will be passed to the function get data. Then the next one will be value first name, value first name. So this is normally how you can call the function. So let me comment it as function call. Function call. So this is how you can call a function of the class, or this is how you can call a method of a class by using the object obj, right? You normally write object name dot the function that you want to call. Then if it has some parameters, you show the values of the variables that will pass to the function get data. So when value age is written here, it means when it is called, when this function is called, automatically the value of this variable value age will be given to the variable my age. Then the value of this one, value last name, when this function is called, it will be given to the variable my last name, and so forth. Then after, what has been kept by my age, it will be given to age. What is in my last name, it will be given to last name. What is in my first name, it will be given to first name, as it is written here. So this is what this function is doing. Okay, after prompting the user the value of age, the value of last name, and first name, automatically this value will be passed to the variables of this class, because the class has age as variable, last name, and first name. So these are what you call data members of the class. Whereas the functions that you define within this class are called member functions of the class. So this is the first member function of this class, this one. So this is the member function of the class person, whereas int age and last name, first name, these are the data members of the class person. Now let's now see. Okay, after calling this function get data, I want now to call the function called put data. I want this function to display what has been kept by last name, first name, and age, as it is mentioned above here, right? So now to call this function outside the class, I use the class object. My class object here, it is obj. I write class object name, so I write obj dot put data. So put data does not have parameters. Then I put semicolon. This is also the function call. Function call. So this is how you can call this function of the class person, because I have used, as you're seeing here, I have used its object. I'm using the object obj of the class person to call this method of the class person. Now I can show the end of the main function block. I can write return 0. Now let's compile and run this program, see how it works. So it will ask me where to save it. Let me save it into this for the coding. I can call it example class. So let me click save. So there is a mistake here, as you're seeing, because down here it has showed some mistakes. Let me display this fronting report window. As you're seeing down here, it's saying private does not name a type. It means there is a mistake here. When you double click the mistake, automatically it shows where the mistake is. So it called me private, not private. So let me run and compile again. So great, as you're seeing here, so we have like, okay, we're having, okay, so the program is asking the user to input his first name or her first name, because when this program starts, it starts from main function. It starts from down here. It can start from down here. You see, it is asking the user to input his or her first name. That's the message. So let me put, for example, Peter. Enter your last name as you see here. Let me say Peter Mugabo. So enter your age. Automatically, when I input age, this age will be stored in a variable value age. When I press enter, as you are seeing here, when I press enter, automatically I will go to the next line here. It means I will call get data. I will call this function member called get data. Automatically, what is kept in the value age will be passed to the function get data. What is kept in the value last name will be kept into to that function get data, and what is kept in the value first name will be given to parameter of the function get data, as you're seeing above here. So we're having this function here automatically. When I press enter, it means I will call this function. It's down here. I will call this function. That's the function call. When I call it, these values will be passed to the function get data. So what will happen? The value called Peter Mugabo 12. So this value will be given to these parameters, and the value of these parameters or these variables will be given to age. What is kept in my age will be given to age. What is kept in my last name will be given to last name. What is kept in my first name will be given to first name. So you know, first name is the data member of the class person, as you are seeing here. Okay, let's see what will happen now if I press enter. You see, so if I press enter, it's as if I call the function get data. Then after passing the values of value age, value last name, and value first name, automatically the compiler we go to the next line obj.putData. Remember, the member function putData is displaying what has been received by the function getData. The reason why we are seeing the result here, you see, because as you're seeing the definition of this put data, when you see above here, it is, so it's 0, it's just to display what has been kept in last name. It means after calling this function, this member function put data, the function is going to print out what has been received by the function get data. The reason why we are having this result. The last name is Mugabo, the first name is Peter, the age is 12. Because when you're looking at the how this put data member function is working, it's saying last name is, this is the output. It means what you're seeing here, the last name is Mugabo. It will print what has been kept in last name. Remember, the last name has received, this variable last name has received the value of my last name. After calling this function, the variable my last name has received a value, and that value has been sent to last name. So here last name is used to display what it is keeping. So this is how it is. This is how the program looks like. So I think when you want to create a class, remember a class has its name, as you're seeing here, right? It has also members. So the members can be private, public, or protected. So these members can be data members or the variables of the class. The members also can be function members or the method that you can declare within a class, like here. Okay. Remember also to set the access specifiers. So access specifiers means where the members can be accessed. When you set access specifiers, you want to show how members of the class will be accessed within that class or outside that class where the object is visible. So this is how you can do this program. Yeah, actually the program was saying to create a class called person, which has two functions, get data and put data. And get data, we have to prompt the user to input her or her first name, he and the last name and age. The put data function were there to display on the screen the user first name, last name, and age, as you are seeing this in this program. Okay, we have been prompted to input the user's information, and there is also to display the information of the user. So this is how you can do this program. Okay, so you can start by creating your class, as you're seeing here. You create the class name. You can create first of all your class up to here. So this is the class definition, or how you can just define this class. Okay, then remember everything starts from main function. The main function should be always there. This is where the class members will be used. So remember this line here, as I have not put the comment, didn't put the comment. So this line was there for object creation. So this is how you can create an object of the class. Okay, so this is how you can call the function member of the class. So this function member is called the get data. This is also another call of the function, which is called put data. Remember, when you are calling a function, you write the object of the class dot the function name. Then if it has parameters, you show those parameters that you want to pass to the function that you are calling. This one does not have parameters, so when you call a function, you have to call it in the way it has been defined within the class. If it has no parameter, you have to call it without parameters. If it has parameters, you have to call it with the parameters. So as you're seeing how they are defined here, so this one has parameters, so this one has no parameters. So this function put data can work in two ways. The first way is to receive values from main function and pass those values to its parameters. Then the parameters will pass the values to data members of the class person. Now let's say that this function has no parameters, as we're gonna see it. Let me remove these parameters of the function put data. Yes. So now everything like prompting messages will be done within this function. Let's say if the user is prompted to input last name and first name and age, within this function you can say cout enter. We can say enter your first name. Instead of saying enter your first name within main function, I can copy these messages, or I can copy these instructions, these ones. I can copy them. Let me just copy them here in the definition of the function put data. Let me just copy them here. Enter first name and last name. So this prompt message will be put here. But when I read the first name and last name and age, I will read them directly into last name. I don't need any other variable. I will use the data members of the class person. So let me just put them here. Can read them here. I can use these data members to read these values. So first name, okay, let's say that's the last name. Let me now read a value into last name. So my age will not be my age as it is written here, but it will be this variable, because I want to access directly these variables within this function. I don't need to use any other functions here. Now after reading them, I can use this function get data to print out what has been read into last name, first name and age as it is here. Now in this case, in main function, I don't need to declare any other variables apart from object of the class, this one. As I have said, this is the creation of object. The creation of object. Yes. Now I don't need any message here, right? These messages will be not here, because the prompt or the action of input and print action of input and printing the messages of what the user has to be doing, everything will be done here. Now, what I can do here in the main function, this put data has no parameter, as you're seeing here. It has no parameter because everything is done within its definition. Now let me remove these parameters because I don't need any parameter in this function. When I call it, I will call it the way it is. Okay, then so when I call it, that's the function call. So when I call this put data by using this object of the class person, what will happen? It will automatically go to its definition. It will do everything that is in this definition. Then after, another function will be called. It is called get data. So this get data will be called to print out or to execute what is in its definition here. Now let's run and execute this program. Execute, compile and run. So there is an error here. Yes, so this is an error. Actually, let me check. Oh, there is an error here. So I should not use my last name. I should use the last name as it is written here. It's not my last name. It's last name. Because that's not the variable of this class. Yes, because this variable was not here. Okay. Actually, it's first name. It's first name, not last name. Because I will first of all read a value into first name as the user has been prompted here. Enter first name and last name. Then the machine or the program will read this first name into first name, then last name into last name. Then it will read age into age. You see, within function, within definition of this function, I'm accessing directly the variables of this class or data members of this class. Remember, these are the data members. That's the data member. That's the data member called last name. These are the data member of the class person. They are private. Whereas put data and get data, they are all function members of the class person. Now let me just run and see. Okay, as you're seeing, we are automatically prompted to input first and last name, because when you look at very well here, when I run this program, the compiler will start from main function. This is where the compiler start from. It will see where the function put data is called. Automatically, the compiler will go into its definition. What is in its definition here? What is in this definition? We are seeing that the first message saying, enter your first and last name. Enter your first and last name, as you are seeing. So when I input like first name, let me put John. I will also input last name because reading is being done at the same time. First name and last name. Let me input Mugabo. Okay, so as you're seeing, it will ask me enter your age. I input the age. When I press enter, the program will go to this function called get data. After everything, after calling this function and after executing everything that is in the definition of the function put data, it will go to the next line. Here are your first name, last name, and age, which means this line will be executed. Automatically get data will be called. When it is called, the compiler, when this line is executed, this line, so when it is executed, this line, automatically the compiler will go into its definition. It will do everything that is here. The reason why you are seeing this message, here are your first name, last name, and age. Your first name is, this is the message, your first name is. What is here? It is what you have input into first name. Remember, everything is being done within the function put data. Your last name, what is new in the last name? It's Mugabo. Your age is, what is in the variable age? It is this value. That the reason why you can work with this program in two ways. You can prompt the user to input this information within the function put data and use the class data members, right? And when you want now to access everything that is in the class, you go in the main function and use the object. So this is how the program can be done. So I think this is how you can reason about this program. Okay, it means you can reason about it when there are no parameters in this function put data, or when there are parameters. So this is how you can do it. Thank you very much.